Have you ever seen cars move like this in movies and wondered, I should maybe learn to do that? Or can I do that? Can I afford to do that? Or you might be on the other side of the scale like, immature, why are they doing that? Either way, if you're on either side, here I'm about to give you a few reasons why you should learn how to drift, to tell you that you can drift anything, almost any car. And to let you know if your car can drift or not, I will get into that a bit later in the video. First of all, let's break this part into many parts. Firstly, I'm gonna cover what is drifting. Before that, the basics of grip and oversteer, understeer, and then after that, what is a drift, the difference between drifting and power sliding. And after that, I'm gonna move into the steps how you can do it. So this is the meaty juicy part. And then after that, I'll give you a few bonus tips based on your drivetrain and give you a few other ways of losing the rear. So this is going to be a long video. I put a lot of effort into this, so buckle up and let's get on for the ride. So firstly, why should you drift? So the first thing is safety reasons. You don't have to drift, but you do have to know how to control slides. Like for example, understeer and oversteer. I will show you how you can recover from both of these because both of them are very dangerous. Understeer scares the crap out of drivers, and with oversteer most people tend to immediately press the brake, which is also dangerous, and it can cause your car to spin or like cause imbalance in weight transfer. So I will tell you guys how you can control these. It's also fun to get it right, and it gives you a huge confidence boost when you master it. First part. So what is grip? When a car is stable at a steady, constant grip level, I'm trying my best to simplify this so everyone can understand. So at neutral grip, that means when all four wheels have equal traction. That's always the case when the car is stationary in one place. All four wheels have equal load, equal weight on them. Depends on your car, obviously. I'm just talking about a 50-50 weight distribution case. So when you start moving, when you accelerate, the car tends to move backwards, The weight tends to be more on the rear wheels and less on the front wheels. So every time you get on the gas, if you have a very bouncy car, you look at it in slow motion, the car moves backwards, and when you brake, it moves forwards. So you remember I brought up the neutral 50-50 weight distribution? These little accelerations and braking can cause an imbalance in the weight distribution. So you're like asking me, okay, hang on, what does this have to do with drifting? I'll get there. So a tire not just have to work forwards and backwards, it also has to change direction, help you with the sideways loads. So basically when you turn into a corner, you can either lose grip on your front wheels, that's when your wheels turn, but the car keeps moving forward. I'll include a few clips here. That is called understeer. So understeer is kind of scary because as a driver you turn your wheel but the car keeps moving forward. I've experienced this as a teenager when I took my mom's minivan and tried to drive really fast. Once I turned the wheel, the vehicle just plowed forward. I didn't know what to do. I was stupid. I didn't crash luckily, but I know it can be very scary and your immediate reaction is to brake, but hitting the brakes, it kind of helps, but it also loads the front a bit more because when you're at understeer, your front tires have surpassed its grip level. So to correct an understeer, what you need to do is straighten up the wheel. I know it might sound a bit counterproductive. Straighten up the wheel and get off the throttle. So turning the steering wheel straight and easing off the gas helps you regain control by taking the strain off the front wheels. So now the other side of the problem, it's called oversteer. Oversteer occurs when you turn the wheel a bit too lightly, and if you're going really fast, the rear can tend to step out. If you get on the brakes early, or if the rear loses weight, it can step out, and then the rear comes sliding about, and that is oversteer. This can also cause the back to spin out and you crash if you don't know how to control it or what can initiate it, and you're like driving really fast in a hurry, you can accidentally over or understeer, and this is the cause for a lot of accidents actually. So, okay, I'll not get into too much detail. Basically, we want oversteer. Oversteer is what a drift basically is. I mean, there are two types of. Now let's get into the types of oversteers. There's two types. One could be a power slide, which is initiated after the apex of the corner. What is the apex of the corner? It's the innermost part of a corner, like a corner meant, when you take a bend. I'm just talking for the people who do not speak car language. Basically, when there's a bend, the innermost part of the bend where you touch the inside is called the apex. So a drift is started before the apex and the power slide is after the apex. So now that is clear, we want to know how to initiate a drift. Basically, what are the stages of a drift? I would divide it into four main parts. One, initiation, basically when you get the rear loose to get the back to come to overtake the front or to swing the back around. You can hear many terms for that, or breaking the rear. Then the next part is catching the slide, because when the rear breaks loose, the front always wants to go where it naturally faces. So usually the moment the rear brakes, you can release the wheel, and you might have seen when people drift the wheel turns, if you've seen the Lightning McQueen clip, turn right to go left. So basically when he turns right automatically, you don't have to turn it, you just have to know how much to let it turn right. If you let it go too much towards that side, then you might end up in a spin. So this is what is catching the drift. You let it turn a little bit and you catch the wheel before it turns further. Then the next part is maintaining the drift. This is done by applying power or modulating the steering, like controlling if you want a little bit of an angle, more angle, and you give more gas. The more the car turns, the less gas you give, the less it turns. And then comes exiting the drift. This is the most interesting part actually. You just pull the wheel straight. The moment the rear gains grip, you can make it gain grip. If you get off the accelerator, let it naturally get grip in the back, then the car will tend to swing suddenly and violently. Before that happens, if you gently, gradually straighten the car, like you will feel it. When you sit on the car, you feel it on your butt. Or if you're using a simulator, you'll feel it on the wheel. The moment that happens, you start straightening the wheel up. And that would, help you correct the slide basically. So this is important. If you accidentally lose the rear, slowly get off the throttle. Don't hit the brakes and straighten up the wheel. Like release the wheel, let it catch, and then once you catch the slide, maintain it a bit and straighten up. And most of the time it's best going that way than going straight into a wall. So like this can help minimize the damage if you're in the right scenario. I mean, it can help if you instinctively immediately try to hit the brakes the moment something goes wrong. It's gonna be fatal. But if you know how the weight distribution and everything matters, and at that moment with your instinct, by knowing how to do this, you manage to get things under control. This can actually help a lot of people. So before we get on to the training, I want to go through these safety guidelines. First, wear a seatbelt and a helmet and a roll cage if you can. And then make sure your car is mechanically intact, like broken suspension, steering, brakes could also kill you. And then choose a safe location. Don't go to try to drift in a tiny parking lot, and then you'll ruin your car and the place and you'll have to pay a lot of fines. And get permission. You don't want to go drift in someone's backyard and get arrested for trespassing. And do it with a friend so he can be like a spotter or she and help you look for obstacles or things you might not see coming. And also carry a fire extinguisher just in case things get ugly. Have emergency services on speed dial, and also humble yourself. Know that you need tens to thousands of hours to perfect it, and everyone starts at the beginning. And also don't use an important car like your main family car or your mom's van so she cannot go pick the kids later on. Just use your brains when picking what car you're going to use. So I'm sorry for the harsh guidelines. It's because I've made the same mistakes, and sorry mom, sorry dad, in case you're watching this. So I will include timestamps here now that we're going to begin the training. If your car is a front wheel drive, all wheel drive or rear wheel drive, it doesn't matter, you can watch up to step 1, and after that I would suggest the front wheel drives and all wheel drive. Skip to the last bit where I would put the timestamp saying front wheel drive and all wheel drive. The rest of your rear wheel drives can stick through the entire video. Also, you guys can try this in real life or even in a simulator, and for simulators I would recommend Assetto Corsa, or BeamNG drive is also pretty good, but Assetto Corsa is the more realistic feel when it comes to tire thermals and tire wear, so I would say stick with that. So you remember how I said a drift is divided into 4 main parts? I will run you through a few exercises you can do to get a feel for all these 4 parts. First is going to be initiation, or losing the rear basically. For that, I would want you to drive in a straight line as I have shown there. Turn the wheel a bit and tug on the handbrake, and then try to get it to do a perfect 180-degree turn. Like this is what it looks like on a first person perspective. Do this hundreds of times till you get a feel of, okay, how much handbrake I need to turn the car 180 degrees, and then later try to make it to 90 degrees. And this way you'll get a feel of how much handbrake you need to use, how much steering you need to add, and basically you'll get a feel of letting the back loose. So you're going to keep doing this, and it's best if you have older sets of tires on when you do this, because you're going to have a lot of tire wear. Regardless of your drive type, you can keep doing this, like pull the handbrake and see how much you can turn. And I forgot, always if you're having a manual gear, clutch in, pull the handbrake, and then you can dump the clutch to let go on the first gear, so you can start picking up speed immediately after you do the 180. So if you're not able to get to this step with your car, I am sorry, that means your car is a bit too heavy, or it's rear heavy, or your handbrake does not work. Like proceeding any further would be a bit dangerous. Like you'll need a lot more speed and a lot more momentum to swing the back loose, and that is a bit dangerous. So I would rather advise you try it at slower speeds if your car is comfortable in breaking the rear loose. So now, provided that you're in an open area and you did break the back loose, now what you need to do is release the steering wheel a bit and see the wheel would automatically turn in the other direction. So like you've seen in drifting videos where they like turn the other direction and the car moves like, turn right to go left. So that turning happens automatically. You just need to, once the brake breaks loose, release the wheel and the wheel turns automatically. What you need to do is catch the wheel, stop the wheel at the angle you need it to face. Like watch, just break the back and then it just spins around, right? So what you need to do is not hold the wheel firm, release it and catch it. So once you've done this a couple of times and learned how to catch the wheel to point the right direction, now comes the next part, holding the drift. So now you break the rear loose, and wait, let me show you. Breaking it now, and then you catch it and you use the throttle modulation, like step on the throttle very gently, squeeze it and release. That way you should hold the drift. So I would say you practice this along with exiting the drift together, because exiting the drift is easy. You ease off the gas, the wheel starts regaining grip, and the moment you do that, you just pull the wheel straight. Like legit, just from the countersteer or from the angle that you caught the drift, you gently pull the wheel straight, force it to straighten up, and you'll feel it in your butt the moment the rear gains grip. At that moment, you need to pull the wheel straight, and that'll straighten up your drift. So practice this a couple of times, and congrats, you've learned how to drift. So now I'm gonna give you guys a few advanced tips on how to start a drift, how to maintain a drift and control your angle in the middle of the drift. So first, when it comes to starting a drift, if your car is powerful enough, the moment you enter a drift, you can firstly, if your car is not powerful enough, you can turn the car left and violently right, and that'll upset the car. It'll load the side wheels before and then release weight from the outside, and that way you don't even have to yank the handbrake. You can just enter a drift using weight transfer. So this is called the inertia drift. So now I will show you guys how to do the next drift entrance technique. It is called the clutch kick. So for the clutch kick, you just approach a corner, press the clutch, and there you go. Let me balance the throttle, hold it, and okay, that is a bad exit, but don't exit like that. So what you need to do is you need to press the clutch long enough for it to get a boost of power like that. So if you don't press it enough, what's gonna happen? Wait, I will show you this. This is a weak kick, okay? See, you don't get enough rotation, and now you're gonna, understeer all the way. So what if you make a too powerful one? You're gonna spin out, and it's gonna end up like that. So what you need to do is understand the balance between a hard clutch kick and a basic clutch kick. So what you need to do is just enter the corner of the clutch kick and then start balancing it. And then if your rear is not spinning up, you can kick it again to get the rear spinning. So that way you can prolong your drift. Now I will go to the next technique, which is called a braking drift. So I'm gonna brake. You see, this is like 10% of your brake pedal, right? That is the sweet spot. You do that, you load the front, the rear loses grip, and you can enter a drift. So what you can do this for during tandems, to tighten your line, you can like slightly apply the brake mid drift. Let me show you. If you do this too much, that was an inertia drift. I'm gonna wipe that out. And now back going fast. That was very late. So that is not what we want. Back to first. Second, and smooth brake. That didn't come out right too. Brake and accelerate. And the race steps up, brake, tighten the line, and there you go, release the thing, find the bite, and straight. So you can brake to tighten the line. So if you want to go wide, you can go wide. There you go. That's a wide. I want to go wide and oops, too much brake. You see what happens? It locks up when you brake too much. Okay, now let's get out of the braking drift. And what's the next thing I want to show you? Oh, momentum. Now you see when the car moves left to right, like when I drift, it wants to go that way. And then it really wants to swing the other way, right? It wants to swing the other way. So you can do this to make transitions. So this is also called the Manji drift. You can just by powering the wheel, you take this corner.
I mean, do you guys think front wheel drives can't drift? I don't know if this qualifies as a drift. It depends on each person's definition of the drift. For me, it's losing the rear before the apex of the corner and using it to convert it to oversteer. So hence, I consider this a drift. Have you heard of the term handbrake turns? So that is what we're going to use to get a front wheel drive car sideways. Okay, so I'll show you a POV right now. So the yellow bar on the corner represents my handbrake. And don't mind the upside down steering wheel, this mod had one small issue. Apart from it not having a red line. Anyways, let's get back to it. So you approach a corner, release the throttle, or you can slightly brake to load the fronts up and yank the handbrake a little bit. And if you want to maintain it, what you're going to do is keep pulling the handbrake and then release and pull it again. That way you can add more angle to this. So this is what it looks from the outside. You enter a corner and turn in and pull the handbrake. So once your car has reached a particular angle, you let go of the throttle and pull the handbrake. That way, because when you throttle up, you remember I told you the rear loads up. We don't want that in this. We need the front to load up, and then we want to yank the handbrake so the rear can swing around. And then you keep pressing the handbrake to keep the rear out. So yeah, drifting a front wheel drive is as simple as that. You just have to make sure the front wheels keep pointing the direction you want to exit. And the moment that happens, wait, I did make a little animation, I will add it here. So the white line represents the path we're gonna take. And what we're gonna do is when we start turning, you yank the handbrake at the entrance of the corner and let the car slide, and to increase the angle you just pull the handbrake again and again, and that way you can leave the rear spinning. But if you pull the handbrake for too long, your tires are going to get flat spots. Flat spots are when only one part of the tire wears out and the rest does not, and that might cause a lot of, instability. So how do you straighten up a front wheel drive drift? It's easy, just get on the gas, because it's only the front wheels that pull it. Once your wheels are pointing straight, get on the gas and it should pull the car straight. And this should be the easiest and the safest kind of drift for you to pull off, but it's at the expense of your rear tires, because they wear out way faster than a normal drift. So you can do the same even with for all-wheel drive cars, but with all-wheel drive cars you clutch in and then yeet the handbrake. So watch this clip of me taking the Subaru WRX hatchback. So this is the only mod I could find which was like stock, and it only has its base horsepower and it isn't with the cool engines or anything. So it's just a normal front priority all-wheel drive car. So what you're gonna do is you will understeer quite a lot with these cars if you go to take a corner like normal. But if you want to kick the back out and let it face the right direction, just hit the handbrake, and once it's facing right, get on the gas. And all-wheel drive cars are so easy because it's best of both worlds, rear and front wheel drive together. So you can like reach incredible angles with this car without worrying of losing control. It's pretty hard to lose control of these cars, but you need a little more speed than the other cars to get the rear loose. But once it's loose, it's just easy. So here's a montage of me just skidding about with these cars. So driving these in real life is almost similar to doing it in the simulator. So like, don't be afraid to try this in real life. I've tried too, and it's almost realistic. So you can try it on the sim, try it on the road, and not on the road, don't try it on the road, try it in a safe space first. And once you're confident enough, then you can maybe take it to a racetrack. But first, always try it in an open field first, try it in an open area. Make sure you don't hit any animals or humans or wreck your car. It's for the best. And also, before you do this, make sure you use old sets of tires. Like if you know your tires on the end of the life, or when you have to replace them, instead of throwing them away, put them in another set of spare rims and leave them at home. So whenever you want to take your car out, you can just put these tires on. Also, if you plan to modify your car for drifting, I would recommend you just do one main one, that is the pre-exit differential in the rear, and you should be good to go. And as you can see in this clip, there is a lot I'm drifting. It does have an intercooler and stuff like that, but all you need is a little split diff, and then once you get on the gas, you can just easily have a slide. So that is power sliding, by the way. Sliding is when you the apex of the corner, you get on gas slowly, and if you have enough power, you can just slide into it. So you can do that in more powerful cars, and in older cars you have to use momentum. That'll be the easiest to enter a drift. Like look at this Mercedes that I'm using here. This is a huge heavy lump of car, right? And it doesn't have much power, so you need to use its weight. Like you see, when you swing left to right, it wants to go left and right, so you want to load the outside wheels first before you turn in. Okay, so let's wrap up what we learned. First and foremost, safety. Be safe on the road. Don't get arrested, don't do anything. I would feel really bad if you guys injure yourself or get in harm's way by doing something which you heard in this video. So to learn this, find a safe space, because anyone can lose control and you need a lot of space. I can't stress this enough, but find a place with a lot of space before you try this for the first time till you get confident about it, and after that it's just gonna be instinct. And the other thing is practice, hours of practice. Even like you need hours of practice to be able to do it right. Like even I am not anywhere near where I need to be when it comes to drifting, but drifting is not my priority. This is something I discovered by accident, but I did realize you could actually save lives if you know not to hit the brakes whenever you get into the corner. Like once you lose the rear, if you're on a road, it's a slippery day, you lose the rear. If you hit the brakes, what's going to happen? You're going to spin further, because you load the fronts, rear has no grip, and you spin further. So knowing how to handle a slide, how to catch it, how to know when it grips and what to do when that happens can actually help you in real life. So okay, let me recap what we learned for a slide. How do you enter a slide? You first need to learn the entry, like how it feels when you break traction, and then you need to know how to catch the slide. So you release the steering, it automatically turns towards the slide, and then before you let it turn completely, you hold the wheel, and that is catching the slide basically in the angle you need. And then what you're gonna do is get on power if it's a rear wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and if it's a front wheel drive, just modulate the throttle until you want to straighten up. When you want to straighten up, just give it full gas. I'm sorry, I'm having hiccups, and also I'm not going to be recording this again, so I'll just take it on the first shot because I've already spent way too much time on this video. Like, I've been working on this for weeks in the middle of university, so hence why. Also, if the quality is pretty weak, just let me know what I can do to improve it, and if you guys want to learn any other car control tips, you can ask me. And if you guys need the links to all the mods, I can even include them in my link tree or in the description. Also, this is the first video I'm actually gonna let people know that I did it, because I've been working on improving my video qualities, so I hope I would get some support in knowing how I can better myself. I'm sorry, I might not even upload this, I don't know, who knows. It's been a long video, and we'll get back to the recap. Methods of entering drifts and controlling drifts, and exiting drift transitions. I can make another video just based on advanced tips, but this is just only for beginners mostly. Like, if anyone else can take something from it, I'll be glad, but this is just for beginners, to tell them what they should do and should not do in certain situations. So I hope I did help or teach you guys something. And yeah, that's about it. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Thanks for watching, and if you guys did learn anything about it, and if you think my channel or this video did bring some value to you, consider subscribing, but if not, it's fine. Alright, have a nice day guys. Cheers.